Hey, I'm Stephen Perkins. I'm a drummer. You're listening to Bradley's House Podcast. Turn it up, then rewind it and turn it up again.
Nothing is impossible, but certain things are highly improbable. Don't think I'll meet your kind again, not in this lifetime.
Hello, everybody. Come on in and make yourself at home, as you should when you are a guest in Bradley's house. I am your co-host, Jarett Orr. She is the SpongeBob to my Patrick, and our host, Ms. Kellie Noel. Kellie, how you doing tonight?
I'm always better when you introduce me. Thank you. How are you doing, Jarett?
If I was any better, I'd be jealous of myself, Kellie. We have a very special show lined up today, especially for the fans of the Southern California and Long Beach area. Kellie, I am super excited about the legend joining us. Who's our guest in Bradley's house today?
I am super excited this week. We have somebody who is an absolute legend in the Long Beach music scene. He's played with a bunch of different bands, including Third Alley, Corn Doggy Dog, Perro Bravo, Falling Idols. We have a very well-respected and well-loved musician with us today, Mudd Lowther. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We are really excited. I have to say, before we talked, I spoke with my dad and I told him that we were having you on the show, and he has nothing but great things to say about you. So much respect for you. And I think that's a really big deal to be able to be in the scene that long, especially the music scene. You have a family and a wife and a job, and yet you still rock out in the evenings and weekends and whenever you can. I think you're a phenomenal example. And that was one thing my dad was saying to you. Just a great example of finding a work-life balance with your family and still maintaining your music and staying true to it. So congratulations to you for that.
Well, thank you. That is something that I try to pride myself on, is to not just, put everything in one basket, but to have a well-rounded life.
Absolutely. It must be hard though, right? Because I would imagine the pull of music, of wanting to do that, but yet still wanting to be able to pay your bills so that, your family can have a roof over their head. That's a tough thing.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's of course the focus. The main thing is to, raise the kids well and have them well adjusted and ready to, go out on their own and do their own thing.
Absolutely. Now you have two daughters.
Mm-hmm.
What are their names?
Megan, who's 29, and Aaron, who is 26.
And you have a lovely wife, Teresa, who I absolutely adore. Every time I see her, she's got the greatest smile. She's so friendly. She's just one of those people that you always want to be around. Has she always been like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, that's what attracted me to her, is to have someone who can, roll with the punches. If I say, hey, I bought us tickets to South Africa, and it's like, she's like, what? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, we're going to South Africa. Well, where are we going to stay? Well, I know this guy down there, so it should be cool. And, that's the type of person that would only be able to stand something like that. So.
That's a good woman right there. You got a good one.
Yeah.
Where'd you guys meet?
When I was playing in a band called Busface, and she was friends with Phil Seville, who played lead guitar and sang part of the vocals. So it was me and Phil and Greg Odell on bass, and me on drums, and Trey.
Nice. When was that? When did you guys meet?
That was, late 80s, like 89 or something like that.
Nice.
Because I'd gone to Detroit and came back, and when I came back, I wasn't in the Falling Idols anymore, so we started another band, and that's where Busface came in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you grew up in Long Beach, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I went to, Lowell, Rogers, Wilson, then to City College, Cal State Long Beach, and Pacific Coast University School of Law.
Nice.
Yeah,
and you're paralegal?
Yeah.
That's very impressive. That was another thing my dad was was saying was so impressive, just, having the education and the job, for his generation, that's such a huge thing. And I think he can relate to that in a lot of ways because he played music when he was younger, but still, did the education and the work route and all that. So
Yeah, and he went to Cal State Northridge, right?
he started out there. Boy, what a good memory you have. He started out there before it was Cal State Northridge.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, but yeah, so he went there, and he also went to school in Fresno, and then he came back and finished at Cal State Long Beach.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, kind of made the rounds. So how did you get into music? When did you start playing?
Oh, well, my dad was, he messed around on drums. He played in some like pickup bands in bars and everything in Detroit. And so when my brother, who's older than me, Joe, and I started getting to be probably 13, Joe was about 13, I was about 10. My dad bought a drum set because he thought that would be fun, and then he ended up hating it because we were beating on the thing all the time. And then I didn't really stick with it until I was about 15. I picked it back up because we were all getting into punk rock, and we saw some bands that we were like, wow, we could do that. That's terrible. So me and Trey Pangborn and Randy Bradbury were all like surfing together and everything. So we decided to start, playing in bands. And, they're like, well, you have a drum set at your house, so you're going to be the drummer. So, okay.
It's an interesting way for your life's work to be decided. But you also play bass.
That's how things are decided when you're like 14, 15, right?
It's true. And then when did you start playing bass?
Well, I started playing guitar before I played bass, and that's because after we recorded when I was like 15 or 16, our first recording for the Falling Idols, I started finding out that you don't get publishing as a drummer unless you like, write songs or something. So I'm like, okay, well, I better learn how to play enough to write a song. But I didn't play either way, so I started playing left-handed because I thought that would coordinate my left hand for my drums, so that I'd be better on the snare, to coordinate, the drum, the snare hand, so that I wasn't just, crack, 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 but like do ghost notes and double stroke rolls and stuff like that.
Did it help?
I'd like to think so, but I probably could have done rudiments and been better off than that, but,
So tell me about the early years with the Falling Idols. What was that like?
Oh, it was a lot of fun, it's a coming of age type band, we were, like I said, we were like 15 before we could even drive. And we got this guy in our band, Ross Fletcher, who was 21 as the guitar player. So he could drive us around, and he got us like into the studio, and so we were just like, surfer street kid, with no like direction or anything. And we started to see that we all had some ability. So it started getting better and better, and it got us in to a lot of places that we never would have been into, like being able to go into clubs that were 21 and over when you're 15 is kind of exciting.
Yeah. Without a fake ID.
Yeah, well,
because that's how I got in.
Well, I took my brother's passport as soon as he turned 21, and so I was Joe Lowther for 3 years.
Smart man.
But it got us into a lot of interesting places and doing traveling and meeting people, but then it also has the downsides of getting you probably into like alcohol and drugs before an age that you could make better decisions.
You should be right.
Yeah.
And did that happen for you?
Oh yeah, of course. But I think as it progressed, I started to step back and see that it was going to be a problem, and as you lose friends and stuff, you go, well, shit, this isn't the right move,
Yeah, maybe not worth the risk.
No.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
But it was an exciting time. It was great because, there was people were having parties, and there was just a lot of places to play that weren't, like the club scene was good too, but it was kind of more fun for me when we'd be playing a hall like Emerald Hall or something that got rented out or something, where like all the younger kids than us could come to it too. So like your brother and like Eric and all those guys were coming to shows that the Falling Idols were doing before they actually took up instruments and started playing themselves. So
That's so awesome.
it was that kind of cool scene that was going on. That was a lot of fun. And I think that's why your brother, did a bunch of our songs. He had that first Falling Idol tape, and he used to play when he was up at UC Santa Cruz, a lot of those songs in his acoustic act. And then they, did some of them when he started up with Eric and Bud and all that. So
yeah, I think I always thought the Falling Idols were like a really well-known, like all over the world kind of band, because they were just such a part of my reality with Brad and Sublime and everything. And so I was super shocked to find out that it was just, it was just so much more of a local thing. Yeah. I was like, what do you mean you haven't heard of Falling Idols? Everybody's heard of Falling Idols. So that was really a shock for me. So you're much more famous in my mind, just so you know.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's great.
So what kind of music were you listening to when you guys started the band? Obviously punk, I would imagine you were in that scene.
Yeah, there was and this you might not know about this band, the Stingers, but the Stingers had this place down on 7th in Nebraska, which is like close to like Orange or something, like that part of 7th Street. And they had a house connected to one of the storefronts there. And I think it's like a Mexican fish market or something now, or a restaurant. But they had all these bands practicing there all the time, like the Descendants practiced there, and the Speed Queens, and like all these other like punk bands. And so the Stingers kind of sound like the B-52s a little bit, they had like, that was more their vibe, but they had all these punk bands that were practicing there too. So we'd go down there and see them play, and that's where, we started getting the idea like, hey, we could do this too. So the Stingers were kind of, got bands like Secret Hate and Crude and us and other bands like that were hanging out, that were younger than them, into that whole scene. And so, we started listening to, like I said, the Descendants when it was like a 3-piece with just Frank and Tony, who aren't even in the band anymore, playing. And so we saw stuff like that, and my friend had moved up to San Francisco, Scott Wardwell, and I'd take the Greyhound overnight up there, and then we'd go surf like Ocean Beach and all the way down to Santa Cruz. And we were talking, and I told him like I was getting into punk, and he goes, "Oh, I'll take you to a good punk show tonight." So we went to Mabuhay Gardens. We saw like Dead Kennedys and the Tools and the Victims all playing there. So that's the kind of stuff that we were getting into, that we were like, wow, this is really cool stuff. Before that, even the Dead Kennedys album was out, when they just had some singles. And so, that's what we were trying to do, and, trying to get into that style of music, that late 70s kind of punk rock.
Mm-hmm. And then now, obviously, you've done a lot since starting Falling Idols. Probably more than I can recount here, but obviously some of the ones that I know, because it's people that I'm friends with. But I know you played Corn Doggy Dog with Todd Zulkins, of course, and Perro Bravo with Miguel, and Third Alley. So like so many great things. I think it's really impressive that you've been able to be a part of so many just still very relevant bands. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You missed Del Noah, though. That was with Eric.
I did, right. Del Noah and the Mount Ararat Finks.
That's right, see?
Love that name. Always love that name.
That was a lot of fun.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
And then tell us about how Long Beach Records came about.
Yeah, so Michael hates this story, but when Michael was putting together Stand By Your Van, like I think that's the first posthumous release after Brad passed. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Jarett would know, yeah. I think so. Jarett's like, definitely.
So Michael had gotten like MCA had given him like X amount to do it, and he came in under budget, and so he told Bud and Eric, like, hey, why don't we just pay Mudd out as a consultant on this? Michael asked those guys because the publishing, I wasn't going to get any publishing because remember I told you at the beginning of this that I learned how to play guitar so that I could make songs so that I wouldn't get burned on publishing. Well, I got burned on publishing.
Of course.
Falling Idol song that came out on Robin the Hood, I wasn't getting any publishing off that. So they paid me the like $3,500 that they had left over in the budget for the Stand By Your Van as a consultant.
Nice.
And so I go, well, I'm not just going to go retile my bathroom with this. Like, should I just put the money back into Skunk or something? And Michael said, yeah, that sounds good, but I know we'll drive each other nuts if we're working together all the time. So just start your own label, and then we'll work together, like distribution-wise and everything else. But then won't have some band that you're going to sign calling me up and bugging me because they want to hump my leg because I was in the Sublime. Yeah. So that's how. And then I go, okay, well, what should I call it? And I thought, and I go, well, Long Beach Records. This seems easy,
So obvious.
Yeah.
And iconic.
I guess, yeah.
Right? I mean, it's straight to the point. No one wonders where you're from.
Right. But it's been funny because now I've sort of franchised it. I've turned it into the McDonald's of record companies. And so...
Yeah, you're in 4 countries now, right?
Yeah, we have Long Beach Records Europe, which is Gearnot. And, it's just... He's got all his... he doesn't tell me what he's doing. I don't need to know. He signs... He has his own autonomy, over there.
Nice.
So he's got a bunch of bands like Telco on the label, which it's like radio play and everything all over Germany and Italy and everything. So
that's really cool.
Really well. Yeah, he's been doing really well. And then recently we just started Long Beach Records Latin America with Mauricio Mora down in San Jose, Costa Rica.
He's from Thicker Than Thieves, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Look at you. A lot of stuff.
I do. It comes out every once in a while, but if someone asks me stuff, I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah, I know, me too. Then I'm like, oh, maybe I do know stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mauricio and his brother and a bunch of other people down in Costa Rica have started that. So I've gone down there a few times, and he's working on getting a beer out, Long Beach Records Cerveza. So,
awesome.
Yeah, and Quackenbush, of all things, does a wholesale distributor for alcohol and whatnot. So I talked to him the other day about possibly, if it works out, having David's company be the importer and the distributor of the beer up here.
Ooh, nice to keep it all in the family, huh?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to do it otherwise.
Yeah.
If I don't have like a friend who has a connection, I just don't do it.
I think that's why you're so well loved, because you're a connector. You just kind of, this person can do this and this person can do this. Hey, let's do this together. And that's a gift. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Very cool. And then also Australia, right?
Yeah, although Simon's hasn't put anything out in 6 years or 7 years. So.
That's all right.
Yeah. So he keeps claiming we're going to, and as soon as the pandemic's over, I'm going to go back down there and try and get that rolling again.
Well, that doesn't suck to have to go to all these wonderful places for, business.
For a work. In quotes, work.
I totally did air quotes, by the way, while we were saying that. It was like you could hear them.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's fun.
So what did you think of the when Sublime covered Falling Idols?
Oh, it was great. Wow, to have a band that you're friends with who's gotten to that level and, succeeding like that, and then, playing one of your songs, that's just awesome.
More importantly, how exactly did it go down? Did Brad say, hey, look, we played your song, or did he ask for permission? Because I imagine him just ripping it off and being like, dude, check this out.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it happened. Because, I don't know, I can't remember talking to Brad about it, but Eric came over and he had it on, I think it was still on a cassette tape. And he came over to my house when I was living over by the traffic circle. And he's like, check this out. And he plugged it in. I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. You guys play it like twice as fast as we do. Yeah. He's like, yeah, well, Bud gets a little revved up.
I think they sort of added their twist, right? Their spin to it.
Yeah, because when I first started playing it in Perro Bravo with Michael, and I'm like, you leave out like part of the song, and he's like, what are you talking about? Because he cuts the end of the phrase before you're like, the turnaround, he cuts it in half, and so like it took me like a few times to get used to doing that, and so then we've had like Trey come up, and it's like, oh yeah, play the song, and we play your song, and I'm like, Trey, they cut the thing in half at the, because Trey's
just to warn him.
Where did that song just go? Yeah. And I actually played that song live, what was that? Golden Sales with with your brother and them, because Bud was it was the show that the Mentors opened up for over there, and Megan was just a baby, and so I go to the show, and Bud's like, off doing something, who knows where, and so the guy from the Mentors is trying to jam with Sublime, and it was so bad. and Eric's looking at me, and I go, you want me to just like grab the sticks from him? And he goes, please. And so I got sticks from El Duce, and then I'm like, well, we can do the Falling Idol song. I know that one.
Except for the part that they fuck up. Right?
It's not as bad if you're on drums as it is if you're like trying to play guitar.
I'm sure. And then you guys reprised it for the house that Bradley built in a super cool acoustic version.
Oh, you like that? Cool. Thank you.
Love it.
That was really fun, because Trey called me and he's like, hey, the guys from Pepper want me to come do an acoustic version of the Falling Idol song. Will you go with me? And I'm like, yeah, you want me to bring my acoustic bass and I'll play bass? He said, yeah. So I did that, and then there was a drum set up, and I go, hey, can I just sit behind the drums and put the drums on it too? And he's like, absolutely. So he just did it all in like an hour, and we're out of there.
You're practically a one-man band.
Well, it's funny because I had mentioned to you, Kelly, somebody had mentioned in one of the groups, they're like, I'm just not really into cover songs, so I'm probably not going to buy that album. And I'm like, well, you could hear the Falling Idols do their song, or the Descendants do their song, or and you go down the list, and there's like, you realize how many of those songs that Brad was actually doing other people's songs, and then to have it all come full circle and have them come back on. But it is almost weird because, obviously no disrespect, but the Falling Idols are, legends in Long Beach. And I was lucky enough to see you guys. But, around the world, people think that song is Brad's. So they're like, man, who's this band covering this Sublime song now? And it's really your song.
That happens to me all the time. Like, I didn't know Wild in the Streets, the Circle Jerk song, isn't their song. I
didn't know that either.
Yeah. It's this guy. I think it's, what's his name? Garland Jennings or something? This New Yorker guy, from like the 70s. And you put on the video and you're like, holy crap.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And that happens a lot. I hear songs that I go, oh, I thought that was a Clash song. But you hear like the original, and you're like, oh, okay.
Well, I think it definitely lended some, a real sentimental vibe to the album, having the Descendants do their song, having you do Falling Idols. I mean, it just, for me, that was really cool. Not just having the people who have been influenced by Sublime, but the people who influenced Sublime. That was cool.
That would have been great if you could have got Secret Hate to do it too.
Man. Yeah.
Bella, Johnny Butt, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to have you do that. So thank you.
Oh, of course. Anytime. That was a lot of fun.
So, Mudd, obviously, we talked about a bunch of, iconic bands in the scene and in the area that you played for. Is there one that's your favorite project? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, because I know there's probably a place in your heart for every single one of the projects you've been a part of. But what project what project and what band would you want to be most remembered for?
Wow, I don't know. I mean, there's, that's. I gotta say the one that I was really excited to do was Glue Factory, because Mike Davis of Secret Hate, I was always a big fan, And he called me up one day and said, hey, Kevin's moving up to Oregon, Kevin, the bass player, and me and Blake want to still keep playing. You want to do something? And I said, sure. And so we started the band Glue Factory because we're all a bunch of old punkers. And I still listen to that stuff all the time because this Mike can take the worst song and turn it into something cool. He's really good, So that was like one of my favorites. I like the Pivot Foots a lot because I was coming back from Detroit and I, had been kind of a fuck up before I left. And I came back from Detroit with a new, mindset where I was going to finish college and get my shit together and, move on. And I met these guys, these two brothers, Blair and Brent, that were called the Pivot Foots, and they played me their tape, and it sounded like nothing like I'd ever listened to. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in. And so I bought into that, and it was great. They were really both, college graduates. The one guy has invented all these catheters that they used on like Mother Teresa when she had a heart attack and stuff. I mean, they're both really smart guys, and so it meant a lot to me to get into a band where I was, feeling more at home, not just being like the druggy like music guy, but to like be doing something a little bit new and interesting. And then now I'm playing with the band Spider. Do you know them, Kelly?
I don't. Well, it sounds familiar, but I'm not sure why.
Yeah, it's Carl Azumi. Do you know him? He's been around for a long time, guitar player. And then Hector, who he works up at Epitaph in their legal department. And so I've been playing with them on bass, and that's been a lot of fun, for recent stuff. And yeah,
nice.
And Perro Bravo's been great, like just me and Michael hanging out and driving each other crazy and acting like siblings that sometimes go on great, and then other times want to kill each other. So that's always fun.
Now, Mudd, you've been around the Long Beach music scene for quite a while, and you've played in a bunch of different bands. And I know that Michael was originally a part of putting together the Long Beach Dub All Stars.
Yeah.
Give me your lineup of all the people from Long Beach that you've played with, you've come and seen and gone, past and present. If you were going to put together an all-star lineup of Long Beach musicians, what would your band look like?
Well, I mean, God, there's so many great players. Like, I guess I got to be true to Randy. He was Bradbury since we started together in the Falling Isles. So I'll put him on bass. I guess Josh Freese on drums. I mean, how can you not put him on drums?
Wait, but you have to be in the band too.
Oh no, really? Can I have this manager?
All right, go ahead.
You can be the manager if you want. You put together the best lineup that you think, Mudd.
All right, sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
Let's see, guitar. I mean, God, there's just so many people to choose from. I guess I'll just put Trey because it's easy. and then I'll put your brother as the singer.
There we go. Good choice. That's actually a really good lineup.
I'll let him back Trey up on guitar.
There you go.
Now I'm mad that I asked that question because I want to hear that fucking band. I shouldn't have done that. Now it's like...
Damn it. That's a super
make me some money finally. I'm ready.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm a huge fan of Perro Bravo. I saw you pull double duty at Alex's in both Perro Bravo and the Falling Idols at Brad's. Yeah, that was an amazing night. Are we going to get more Perro Bravo, Mudd?
Yeah, I was just over at Michael's before while you were playing frisbee golf. I was over at Michael's and we were talking about it, but actually I'm not going to be able to make the show because July 31st I'm going to be in your neck of the woods. I'm going to be at a wedding in eastern Pennsylvania, but the day before at Niagara Falls. So if you want to buy me a beer, I'm all for that.
Yeah, it's sold.
Yeah. Jared's like, done. I'll see you there. So you're going to miss the sea salt show on the 31st.
Yeah, so because he was saying, that Perro Bravo should do it. His brother's gonna be in town. I'm like, oh man, so yeah. I think Nick's gonna play that one.
Fun.
My fake son-in-law.
That'll be fun. He's great.
Yeah,
Love
he
him.
can back Josh up in the super group if Josh has a sting.
Right there, you go.
I don't want to talk about the super group anymore. I'm sad now. So I'm just thinking about how amazing that would be.
You would think, but every super group ends up being terrible. Like somehow it never works.
Well, I think the problem is it's got super in the name. So, you know, you have all these different personalities and creative people, and it's got to be tough.
Yeah.
The Traveling Wilburys are pretty badass.
Yeah, I do. I'll give you that. I like that one.
That's true.
And some people would claim that Led Zeppelin was a super group, but, until they got that singer, then it just ruined it.
That singer. Now, I don't know enough about Led Zeppelin history to understand why they would be considered a supergroup. Were they all...
Oh, Jimmy Page, during his, heyday was, on 75% of albums coming out of Britain or something like that.
Holy shit, are you serious?
Yeah, he was a big-time studio guitar player.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I think the same is John Paul Jones, the bass player, was, well-known, kind of studio guy, too.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and then at first they were supposed to have Keith Moon, and he's the one, I believe, that coined the name by saying, we're gonna go up like a Led Zeppelin.
I remember hearing that's how they got the name. I didn't realize it was him who said that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, Keith Moon and John Bonham are first cousins.
Is that right?
Are they?
Yeah. Yes. Keith Moon and John.
Since we're on this topic, is whatchamacallit your second cousin? Is that the guy from Sugar Ray, or what are they called? They were the Shrinky Dinks. The guy from Entertainment Tonight. What's
Mark
McGrath?
Yeah. Is Mark McGrath your second cousin?
Are you asking me or Jarrett?
Kelly.
Oh no, he's absolutely not related.
Look online. There's something that says that.
Oh, are you serious?
And I heard that, and I looked it up, and it says that's your second.
That's awesome.
Well, if it's on the internet, then that's your second cousin. So
it must be true.
Mark, if you're listening, we're looking for some help on Bradley's house, bud. So I know every morning we'll wake up just like you want us to. So however you want us, we'll Sugar Ray the shit out of Bradley's house. You just get in touch with us.
Is your second cousin? You should probably call him up and say, hey, we should talk about our great grandparents that we haven't covered. I need a donation.
That's right.
Maybe your mom, the ER nurse, is telling everyone about her nephew, Mark McGrath.
Right, that could be it. Mudd, do you know about the woman who tells everyone she's Brad's mom?
Yeah, but you'll have to Google that.
Yeah, they're probably related. Maybe that's why she thinks that. No, we are absolutely not related to him. I'm trying to Google it while we talk, but I can't find it. But I'm gonna go down that road because that's interesting. But I do know also that it used to say, I don't know if it still does, but I know years ago on Brad's Wikipedia page it said something about his sister dating Jack Johnson, and that was also not true. So, I mean, the 80s were a crazy time for me, but I feel like I would have remembered dating Jack Johnson.
Yeah, like a supermodel surfer guy that has gold records. Yeah, you think
right. I feel like that would stick out in my mind. There's a lot I forgot.
You could do better than Jack Johnson.
Well,
I'm just saying, I feel like I would have remembered if I dated him.
That's such a great name, though. It sounds terrible.
Right?
Think about his name. Really?
Oh my gosh.
Well,
I never thought of that till just Thanks for that, Mudd. You've totally ruined it. I'm going to giggle every time I hear his name now.
I think I do.
Yeah, who does? You've never come up with this. You've never put this together before. I thought it was a rib the first time I heard about this guy Jack Johnson. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
How did I not get that? That's awesome.
Once I found that funny, then I decided to change my name to Dick Peter Johnson, the Triple Threat.
Yeah, Yes, that is perfect.
Oh my gosh.
That's the name.
Oh, that's fabulous.
That is absolutely amazing. So, Mudd, you said you're working in a project right now. Are you guys recording? Is there where could people find some music that you're working on right now?
Well, with Spider, we're supposed to have a single coming out. Although I got to take it back into the studio again because we had it where we thought it was done, but it was still kind of muddy and so we got to put another go at it to try and get it up to speed. But it's going to come out on Death in the Woods, I believe, is the name of the record label. And then we're playing a bunch of shows around here, but we're playing Riot Fest on the Saturday in Chicago in, what is it, September 17th or something like that. And then we got some shows in like San Diego and a few around here. We're going to play with Eric's new band, Spray Allen. Eric Wilson has this band, Spray Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ham Apple went down and played, what's the name of that? Poway, with them about 3 weeks ago. And that was really fun. They sound really good. I think you guys are all going to like Spray Allen.
Awesome.
And we have a show with Law and Spray Allen and Spider and Ham Apple, which is another band I play in.
Yeah, I forgot to list Ham Apple.
Yeah, that is going to be...
Jeff Smith's going to be so pissed.
Because he quit or because he has to listen to this whole thing until it's finally been acknowledged?
This long until Ham Apple got brought up.
You know, you guys lead with the Falling Idols. What about...
Right. So sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Jeff.
Well, Kelly led with Corn Doggy Dog in your other projects, so in all fairness.
I feel like I had
wasn't
to,
that
or
band.
Z-Man was going to give me shit for it.
You're right. I was in that band. I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
You know, I saw you guys with Perro Bravo in Portland, playing with Fortunate Youth and Slightly Stupid, and probably about a quarter of the way through the set, somebody screamed out, "Play some Corn Doggy Dog!" And Michael looked out and went, "You don't mean that." And he went right back to whatever his set list was.
But doesn't that just mean play some Falling Idol covers?
Right, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the first thing I thought is I was like, "Fuck, here comes a Spin Doctor song."
Yeah.
But no.
No. Or a bad John Cougar one.
Right. That might be redundant.
Yeah.
By the way, not
Was-
to beat this with a dead horse. What is that phrase?
Not to beat a dead horse.
Thank you. I don't know
The
where that
horse
came
is
from.
already fucking dead, and now you want to use it as a weapon, Kelly?
I know. I'm so sorry. And I didn't even use it correctly. But I did find on the internet where somebody had posted on angelfire.com, Mark McGrath, singer of Sugar Ray, is Brad's first cousin. And I'm here to tell you that is absolutely false. We are not cousins.
The one I saw was second cousin, so it was a little bit more distant.
Yeah, there's absolutely no relation that I'm aware of with Mark McGrath. He certainly never came to the family party, so couldn't be. But yeah, that's pretty funny.
Then I guess you'd be a kissing cousin then, huh?
Yeah, it would be awkward. Super.
Well, of course he's not going to show up at the cousin. Or not going to show up at the family reunion. He's the second most famous musician in the family, so he's not going to come walking up onto your side of the family.
Doesn't want to be shown up.
Yeah.
Right.
When he had the band, the Shrinky Dinks, we had a band called Ken the All Night Rocker where we all played wrong instruments, and Ken the All Night Rocker was the singer. But Sugar Ray, before they were Sugar Ray, they were Shrinky Dinks. They gave us a couple of really big shows, and we played some great shows with them. They were really fun and nice guys. Nice. But yeah, that's before his Entertainment Tonight years, so I don't know what happened there. But he was fun before that.
So Mudd,
sure
you
he's
admit
still a lovely human being, and
you don't have to
make a
say
shameless
face.
plug that if somehow Mark McGrath were listening, that he would, want to donate to Bradley's house.
Yeah,
that's all.
No,
He's gonna
as your
schmooze.
second cousin, you
Go right ahead. Sorry.
It's your lens thing.
It's not too much to ask. Come on, we're family.
Hey, Mark, we just got off the phone with Aunt Carolyn. She said to send a check. You can look it up on cousin Tommy's doing a lot better, and we send our love from Uncle Harold. So
okay, wait, we do have
just go ahead
Aunt
and visit
Carolyn
the
and
Noel
Uncle
Family
Harold. You're
Foundation.
freaking me out. Was that
Uh-oh.
like in your subconscious or something? Because my grandpa's sister is Aunt Carolyn, and she was married to Harold, so that's super weird. But no relation to Mark McGrath.
Kelly,
Let's get back on track.
You know,
I'm on top of my shit here. I do my research. I know all about Aunt Carolyn and Uncle Harold.
Yeah, you're kind of creeping me out now.
I was in show prep earlier.
Yeah, their dog Rusty, and they're okay. So, Mudd, you obviously, Sublime watched you. Brad and the boys watched you coming up with the Falling Idols. You watched them kind of grab that fame there in Long Beach, and then you played some similar shows and you filled in with Sublime. What's it like now to have it all full circle and to be playing shows with Law and seeing Jacob coming up and paving his path, and what's that like for you to sit back and see?
Oh, it's great. Very proud of him too, that he's kind of taking his own path, that he's not just doing Sublime style music, that he's
Right.
He's going after what he likes, and I like that. I think that's really cool, and I couldn't applaud that more.
I agree. He's such a great guy.
He is.
I used to say he's such a great kid, and I have to remind myself he's not a kid anymore. I say he's such a great guy, but I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, I am too. I think he's doing great. His dad would be super proud.
Awesome band they got there.
Yeah, they're really good, and we love Nick. He's awesome. It's great having him around the house a lot.
He's so talented too. They're all very talented musicians in their own right. And,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I remember the very first time I saw Nick play, he was still in high school, and I think he was maybe 16.
Yeah, just got his car license. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, this guy, he can really play.
Yeah.
Really good, and such a nice guy.
I know. Michael had saw him play, I believe, with Watt, and he was so impressed because Mike Watt and Rudy, which is Nick's dad, are friends.
Yeah.
And so then when Jacob was moving up here, Michael kind of put them together.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you got to meet this kid on drums, and you got to meet this kid who's singing, playing guitar. And so, yeah, it's been great. This was a lot of fun to watch them growing up, and that's what I liked about punk rock too, is that you see a band and you see what they're doing, and then the next time you see them, they're adding some new songs in, and then they're going a little bit new direction and everything. And so it's been the same watching them since they've been little kids develop into what they're doing. It's, the same kind of thing I always enjoyed. Instead of going to a big concert and seeing a band every 5 years or something and buying their album, I prefer to see them in the club and the local scene, and watch what they're doing and see them progress and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mudd, it's been absolutely awesome, and unfortunately, I always have to cut myself off because I could sit and talk about music forever, and especially with a Long Beach legend like yourself. We talked about some of these amazing bands that you've played in, and some new projects that you have coming up. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for them. When you do head this way to Niagara Falls is 15 minutes away from me, so
cool.
I would love to meet up and buy you a beer and see what's going on, and give you some tips about your time in here. Now, you said you're going to a wedding in Pennsylvania. Where at in Pennsylvania is that?
It's in eastern Pennsylvania. I forgot the name of the town. But the thing is, while I'm at Niagara Falls, maybe you should come over to the Canadian side, because my buddy Andrew Wright, I'm going to meet him there, and he plays in a band up in Toronto. The name escapes me at the moment, but he's originally from South Africa. And he played in a band called Leak and the Bouncing Uptones, which you should check out on Spotify. I had them on Long Beach Records. And he's a great musician, really good dude. And you'd probably have a good time meeting him.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Hopefully they're letting us in Canada by then.
I know.
Yeah,
Well,
crossing Crossing the border's not too easy right now, but maybe we could just like stand on opposite sides of the falls and just shoot messages back and forth to each other because you can literally see. I don't know if you've ever been to Niagara Falls before.
As a kid, like real young. So
The American side is the drizzling shits, and the Canadian side is like Disneyland. It's outrageous. On the American side, we've got nothing but like bad neighborhoods and high crime rates. And literally, you cross the border, and it's what's called Clifton Hill, and it's just like roller coasters and wax museums and kettle corn and motion theaters and all sorts of. All the good stuff is happening on the Canadian side for sure.
All right. Well, I'll try and get Andrew to come down to the American side then, because the American side sounds more fun if it's all ghetto and shitty.
They're doing their best, they're painting the curbs and like putting murals up on the side of the crack houses. So
it's comfortable. I don't want to go to Disneyland. I'd have a season pass if I like that place.
So Long Beach Records is, you guys are what now? Is this 25 years that you've been going?
Well, like any child, I don't remember our birth that well, so I never get quite right what year. I think we started it in 98, but it could have been 99, so it's...
No, I'm going to have to do math.
And so when we put out our...
22 or 23.
Yeah, when we put out our 20th one, I think we put it as a 22nd one, or I don't know. Jeff doesn't even know. No one knows.
Well, it's funny. It was what was the 20 years of barely staying afloat.
Yeah, but we weren't sure if it really was 20 years at that point.
And now you get on here and you're like, yeah, we've got divisions in Europe and Australia, and we're gonna. Yeah, it sounds like you guys are staying afloat to me.
Well, we're trying, but it's a tax dodge, if anything.
Damn it! I knew Jeff charged me too much for that secret hate shirt. Son of a bitch! I bid on the first offer. I'm like, man, these guys are barely staying afloat. I'll just pay whatever he asks. Now I find out the real truth. Unbelievable.
Not on the 20th. Yeah, we don't know. Who knows? It's kind of like if you got married like years after your kid, but you're lying about it because it was after wedlock. And then you're like, how long have we been married? I don't know.
That's a good question.
22 or 23? I can't remember.
Yeah. That's I don't know about. I will tell you that when my first son, when my ex was pregnant with my first son, my dad's like, so are you gonna start telling people that you're gonna have a kid? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird. My dad's like, well, Slim, you do whatever you want, but people know how to do math, right? And eventually you're going to have this kid and they're going to be like, I just saw you 4 months ago and you didn't mention anything about it. So you might want to, so that's how I use my kids as like my gauge for everything. I'm like, how long ago was that? Oh yeah. The 10-year-old was just born. That was 10 years ago. It's perfect. So.
Oh yeah. I do that totally with at trivia. It's like, oh, when did Kurt Cobain die? Let's see. Megan was born in 92. So.
Okay, so the headline coming out of this is Mudd Lowther claims Long Beach Records is bastard child.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
I don't think so. Headline is Sugar Ray frontman and Sublime frontman first cousins. Uncle Harold and Auntie Caroline said check is in the mail from cousin Mark. That's the headline. And Mudd was the one that's put it out there. So you know what, Mudd, I like your style, what you did there, because I tell people all the time, people will send me messages and they'll be like, oh, well, what's the deal with that thing that you shared? And I'm like, listen, buddy, I don't fucking start. I just said them. Okay. So this didn't come from me. So Mudd broke the news right here. Kelly, you've been holding out all this time that you're related to Sugar Ray. And
Lies.
It's on the internet. What do you want from me?
If it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
I never asked your dad, so I figured, well, I'll ask Kelly.
Yeah, he wouldn't. He probably wouldn't even know who Mark McGrath was. But
I don't know. He's pretty hip.
He is pretty hip.
I heard him on the new Bradley House album. He's pretty good.
Didn't they sound so good? Him and Jacob. I love that. I love that. He was so cute. When I asked him to do that, he's like, I don't think anybody wants to hear me sing. I'm like, oh, Dad, you're so wrong. People would love to hear you.
Mudd wants to hear it.
There you go. There you go. That was enough. Well, thank you so much, Mudd. You've been more than gracious. I know we were a little late getting started on this, and you've got other stuff going. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for just being a genuinely cool human being that has been around this scene so long, but hasn't gotten soured by it or cynical from it. And you're wonderful, and your wife is a delight. And I think you guys are just real Long Beach legends, and I feel really fortunate to have had you on the show. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. But I feel like I was the kid that sits in the back of the class and you just put me in the front of the class and made me answer a question.
Sorry.
I'm very uncomfortable.
Well, you killed it. You did a great job.
Now get back to the back of the classroom, would you?
Thank God. Thank you.
Start shooting some spitwads. Have a great night. Thank you so much again.
Right.
Thank you so much, Mudd.
All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Wow, Kelly, I really had a lot of fun with Mudd. I knew this was going to be one that I was looking forward to. A fan of every project he's been a part of, and really a Long Beach legend. And you could hear him smiling the entire time he was talking. I mean, he's a guy who's really just infectious once he starts talking and you're around him. I just had a lot of fun. I could have went forever. I could have went all night with that one.
I agree. You know, it's easy to see why he's so well respected. He's very talented, yet super down to earth, and just a really great guy. And, you know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people with a lot of talent, but if they can't get along with other people, it's not going to work out. So it's easy to see why he's been in so many bands, because he's a great guy. And as I said, super talented. So I feel really fortunate we were able to have him on the show.
And then he broke the news about your family relation with Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray, which is awesome. I mean, it's great to know you've got this whole family that you didn't even know about. Thanks to good thing Mudd reads the internet. Kelly, I'm telling you what, this internet thing, I don't think it's a fad. I think it's here to stay because Mudd's digging into it and he's doing some research on it. He was ready for this one.
For the record, we are not related to Mark McGrath. And Penny the nurse, although very sweet and seems to have done a lot of good for a lot of people, is not Brad's mother. So there, we've debunked two things in one episode.
I don't know how I feel about this because this Mark McGrath thing is just starting to set in, and I don't know if I'm ready for you to kill the stream yet.
You know what? Mark McGrath can totally be my cousin if he wants to help out Bradley's house. But other than that, I mean, you know, I'm sure he's a lovely human being. I've never met him. But I'm just saying.
I don't know. I bet he's kind of a dick.
Straight facts, straight genealogy. There is no relation that I'm aware of.
All right, fine. So if we don't get Mark McGrath to help out with Bradley's house, which we still may because you guys are related, I'm not ready to let this dream die yet. But for the listeners who are checking this podcast out right now, obviously they know we're doing this show for a reason, and it's to help support the Knoll Family Foundation in the building of Bradley's house. Kelly, what are some ways that folks can get involved?
You know, there's a lot that people can do. Of course, donations are the biggest thing that we need because as a nonprofit, we cannot offer services free of charge unless we have ways to pay for them. So obviously donations are a big way to do that. And there is a link in the show description that has, it's a link tree that's got all the different ways that people can donate. So I don't have to go through them all, but I do encourage people to check out our website, theknollfamilyfoundation.org, just to see what we're all about. And if you have a business and would like to sponsor the podcast, we would love to hear from you at bradleyshousepodcast@gmail.com. And just help spreading the word. I think the more people know about the foundation, the more people know about our mission, the more opportunities we have to connect with people who do have the means to help out. And so every little bit helps, genuinely. And I know that seems a bit cliche, but it really does mean a lot. Whether we're getting $2 or $200,000, we are super grateful for it because this is absolutely a team effort and we are all in this together.
Absolutely, guys. And like I say all the time, we can all have our own little piece in the next chapter of the Sublime story by helping getting this house up and built and helping support the Knoll Family Foundation and helping save some others. So go ahead and check out the link tree in the description. Visit the knollfamilyfoundation.org, pick up a t-shirt, a hat. All the proceeds go directly towards getting this house up and built. Now, Kelly, we're going to continue the tradition here. Every single week we end with a song, and this week is going to be from Sugar Ray. No, I'm just What are we gonna end out with this week?
Sorry. We're going to close out with one of my favorites from the house that Bradley built, because it is truly one of the roots of Sublime, and it is the Falling Idols doing their song Falling Idols, which was covered by Sublime as Falling Idols. It's just a wonderful loop that you'll never get out of, but it is fabulous. They did a great acoustic cover of their own song that Sublime had covered called Falling Idols, and I know you're going to love it.
Available on law-records.com, on YouTube at the Bradley's House page, and also on Law Records. Until next time, I'm Jarett Orr. She's Kelly Noel. You don't have to go home, but it's time to leave Bradley's house. Thanks for listening.